So a ritual is a sacred time, and a ritual is,
Mhm.
generally, if you think about it, it's a practice where you're really paying attention to what you do at that moment. That's all it is.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Thrive State Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. V, triple board certified MD and performance and longevity expert. And I have the honor today of having a conversation of a new friend of mine, Andrea Marcellus, who got a chance to speak in my private Thrive State men's group. And these are a group of people that go through a lot of stress and they've got very little free time. And so what she is doing is offering some really basic hacks. She teaches us 3 ways for us to de-stress and to focus in on the present. I found these tactics to be super, super effective, and I can't wait to share them with you. Now, before we move into the episode, I just want to ask you a favor by leaving this podcast a 5-star review if you haven't already. If you've gotten some value from this podcast, it really helps the show grow when you engage with it. So please leave us a 5-star review, subscribe, and engage in the comments. Also, if you haven't picked up a copy of my book, Thrive State, already, what are you waiting for? Learn how you, through your choices, can actually activate a state in your body that gives you optimal health, longevity, and peak performance. Now, our next guest is actually someone who's actually been in the health and fitness industry for over 25 years. She initially actually started as an actress, but with all the hustle and bustle and with all the corporate work she's done before, she's really actually put together a program on how anybody, despite the lack of time, resources, or schedule, can still actually achieve great health and great performance. She's one of the most sought after life strategists in the world, working with writers, actresses, celebrities, CEOs. We share a very similar client list. And she's here with us today. You'll feel her energy, and really what you'll see is just very simple tools. You'll find 3 of them today, but I really suggest you check out her website, nlife.com, where you'll find so many more resources. I highly recommend you use some of these exercises and tools into your own life. So without further ado, let's welcome Andrea Marcellus.
Andrea Marcellus, welcome to the Thrive State Podcast.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
It is such a pleasure. I met you through some friends of mine in the health and wellness space, and it turns out we've known tons of the same people, including friend and mentor David Meltzer. You've done so much in the health, media, and entertainment space. I was really, really fascinated to find out more about you and your work.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I am actually a big fan of yours, so I was really glad to be invited. We have a lot of synergy.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, as you know, if you've been following me, you know we do an opening segment of the show called The 5 to Thrive. I can't wait to buy you dinner, but it would depend on whether or not you get these 5 questions right. So I'm going to ask you right now, Andrea, are you ready to play The 5 to Thrive?
I'm not just ready to play. I'm ready to win.
Whoa, here we go. Question number 1. Question number 1 is, if I handed you a microphone right now and asked you to jump on stage and sing a karaoke song, what song would that be?
Oh, I would do Stop Dragging My Heart Around. I always, either Stevie Nicks or Pat Benatar, always. Avi.
Awesome. Question number 2 was, as a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, I wanted to be a surgeon and an actress.
I see. Question number 3 was, what acting experience is most memorable to you?
You know what? I'm going to say the first lead in a play I ever got, I was in 5th grade, and or no, sixth grade, and I got the lead in a play with sixth, seventh, and eighth graders. I wasn't even supposed to be allowed to have like anything beyond a chorus role, and I got the lead, and lots of people hated me for it, but I had a blast.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. I would be that person. Oh man, that should have been mine. Question number four. Question four is, what food can you eat all the time?
Me?
Yes. If you had one meal that you could, if you
Potato
had one
chips.
meal you could eat for the rest of
Ever.
your life,
But they
what would
have to
that
be. Oh, well, you're asking me. I mean, now I'm going to think about being sustaining. If I had one food to eat, steak.
Oh yeah, I love steak. All right. We're friends. And you know what? If you get this
Right?
last question right, you and I are going to have steak. So for all the marbles,
Can't wait.
Andrea, how would you like to be remembered?
Oh, I want to be remembered as somebody that helped people cultivate joy.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's why we vibe so much. And you won the Five to Thrive, which means there's going to be a steak dinner on me the next time we get together. And because you're just on the other side of town, we can make that happen very, very soon. I am
Can't
so
wait.
happy to have this conversation with you, because I know you help so many people really reclaim their health, find joy in their life. But let me ask you, how did you go from becoming an actress to becoming this performance, health, and wellness expert?
Total accident. Actually, it's a literal accident. I was at NYU. I was supposed to be a star. Everybody thought, oh, I'll be a star. I was told that 1,000 times. And none of you know who I am, so it didn't quite go that way. But I had an accident between I think it was my freshman and sophomore years, and I started taking fitness classes just to make myself feel better and feel strong. And I ended up teaching myself how to teach by like taking classes of these two women. Like they didn't even know they were my mentors. And it just became, it was an honest, just an honest passion. And then I decided, well, I need a job out of college, so I'll do this and I'll just learn, I'll teach. And then you get paid about, I don't know, 7 cents an hour to do that. So I had a corporate job. I was producing plays, and I was like doing auditions, and but I would teach classes before and after like a corporate job or between auditions. I mean, it was crazy. But that's what it was. And then in my late 20s, I shifted to personal training, developing. And then about 5 years ago, I realized, geez, like I need to scale what I'm doing. I'm not living up to my potential. And an investor fell into my lap, and I just said yes. Like, okay, I'll figure this out. And
if I fall onto your lap, I would say yes too.
God, I just turned 50, so I take all compliments.
Well, that's beautiful. Now, you work with really, the elite, the people who have just been so busy. Have you found there to be a certain archetype, or what have you found in common with the people who are just so successful in terms of the finances and building their empire? What have you found in terms of their habits, or maybe their mindset when it comes to their health and addressing their needs?
It's super important to everybody. It's not a sell. Like everybody gets it. The problem is they have a hard time prioritizing themselves because they legitimately have so many outside pressures or an ever shifting schedule. And what's awesome is I do too. So, I specialize in practical well-being and fitness strategies for people with time challenged and just pressure intensity challenged lifestyles, because it is extremely familiar to me, and it's the only way you get results that last. And I am only interested in doing things that have longevity. I am, and that's pretty much in everything.
That's super important, and because if you're not able to stick to it, it doesn't really become anything that's sustainable. And I
That's
am
right.
so glad that you are someone who probably has the lifestyle. I know you do. You're really growing an empire yourself, and you're really being able to apply the techniques that you
That's
use
right.
with these people as well. So let's dive straight into it, and I'm pretty sure some questions will spawn from there. First off, I just know that so many people in the corporate space are unusually stressed,
Yeah.
and trying to find time to go to the gym or trying to find time to meditate is just often difficult. So what are some things that they can do to maybe access a little bit more joy and stress relief in their life?
So one of the first things to understand is what is happening in your brain. In my career, I started with exercise. I realized, oh, wow, it's really about food. And then, these things are complementary. And then once I got into that, food and fitness together, I realized, oh no, it's about stress. Your stress level, your ability to handle circumstances you didn't choose really determines what kind of a day you're going to have, and also whether or not you have chronic stress, which you and I both know just kind of eats away at you on a cellular level. So when you are
Absolutely.
triggered, when you're triggered by stress, you have this amygdala in your brain. I just say it's like the back of your brain, layman's terms, but it is triggered by only one of two things. Like it is either lack, scarcity, or threat. And so in times gone by, scarcity would be there are not enough berries on these bushes, like the tribe is going to starve, let's go move the tribe. Now, or it was that is a lion coming towards me, I better run. But now, the scarcity is usually I'm not going to have enough time, I'm not going to have enough funds for something. And on a large business level, it could be venture capital, it could be a lot of things, or a business that's running thin, or whatever it is. And then, or it's energy. Energy is the huge one. I'm not going to have enough energy, I'm going to be tired. And then threat, isn't about a lion anymore. It's usually a threat to our ego, or it's a fear that I actually don't know enough. Even I see that through line, even with, nobody shows that to me at first, or I'm too old, or I'm going to end up with an illness. Those are the realities of the day. That's the threat. That's the fear. That's the thing that triggers us. So when that happens, that amygdala starts shooting out adrenaline and cortisol, which does two things. Cortisol, everybody here has heard much about. It's going to slow down all these metabolic processes, everything that has nothing to do with energy needed to move the tribe or run from the lion, right? And then the adrenaline's interesting. It's giving you like kind of false energy, but it's basically energy to soothe. We are so bad at being uncomfortable. We are so deconditioned from being uncomfortable. We need to fix it right away. And so that's where we get into soothing behaviors, whatever they are: food soothing, too much alcohol, sitting and just watching Netflix, like just receiving shows, rather than actually doing anything. And so these are the things we want to correct. And like the way to do that is little brain training steps we can get in throughout the day while you're doing things to level up physically. And I find that by including brain training and stress management strategies with easy strategies, fast strategies for nutrition and exercise, then you can get people to be enormously consistent, and they're leveling up both physically and mentally at the same time.
Well, that's beautiful. So I can't wait to dive into some of it.
Yeah.
I know you've got lots, and we're going to talk about your 90-day course and program in a second. But let's start talking about some of those simple brain training techniques that somebody can do.
I'd love to. This is really fun. And if you don't mind, like if anybody wants to, they can stand up to do this. But okay, everybody today had today or yesterday, you had something super annoying happen. So if you close your eyes for a second, you just think of the thing, not something life shattering, but something that just, oh God, it's so annoying. And you kind of really think about that. You think about the conversation, or you think about what you have to do, and just give yourself a second to just, oh my God, I don't want to do this thing, or I don't want to deal with this thing, or I don't want to have this conversation. And just kind of let that brew for a second. And your heart might actually start to, your heart rate might come up a little bit. You're feeling those stress symptoms. You might find your tongue is on the roof of your mouth. Your jaw just got tight. You check in with that stuff. You find that your shoulders creep up. Just thinking about it. Okay, do me a favor, stand up. I do this all the time. So everybody, we're going to see the middle half of you. All you're going to do is stand here, and you're just going to take, you can hold onto a chair if you need to, but it's better if you just try to balance. Take one leg, and all I want you to do is pull your heel up and then touch your toe back down. So we're balancing on one leg, and you're going to pull your heel up and then you touch your toe back down. And then as you do this, I want you to go slow. We're going to inhale up on 4 counts. 4, 3, 2, 1. You're going to exhale on 2, down on 2. Ready? And we're going to inhale up 4, 3, 2, 1. And then down, just 1, 2. Do that one more time. 4, 3, try to stretch out that inhale, and then down on 2. And now you're going to shift to the other foot. We're going to shift our breathing pattern. So we're going to inhale up 2, exhale down 4. We're going to go inhale up 2, and then slowly down. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, inhale up 2. Now exhale down 4, 3, 2, 1. Last time. Here we go. Inhale up. And now exhale down 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now have a seat.
Amazing.
Did anybody's lungs just go, right? So that's your vagus nerve, which is the longest nerve in your body, attaches from the base of your skull, basically, all the way down your brain, through your jaw, through your lungs, to your gut, your gut instinct, that's a thing. And your lungs just came to rescue you. It just signaled to them, take that breath, because it gets your central nervous system to drop a notch. So if you check in with yourself right now, you're going to find out that you are in a different place. You love the word vibration. I do too. We're all vibrating at a different place right now. You're a couple notches down from where you were when you were thinking about that, annoying thing. Did everybody kind of notice that you're in a different space right now? And what's crazy is it took less than a minute, right? So what we did was we activated your prefrontal cortex, your hippocampus, cerebellum. You don't know that. All you realize is I'm kind of balancing here, listening to this woman, and I'm breathing in a pattern. Well, balance plus a coordinated movement, plus breath, kind of put together, well, not kind of, exactly put together, take an amount of focus and energy that the amygdala has to shut off. You could not be worrying about anything while you did that. So that simple exercise is literally a safety relief valve for any time you're just feeling a tremendous amount of intensity and pressure. You literally shut the amygdala off. So this I give to people who have anxiety before getting on a plane, or before public speaking, or before stuff, because even people who are really, high level dynamic people, public speaking is freaky for a lot of people. I think, didn't Jerry Seinfeld say that people would rather die?
Right.
Isn't that the joke? But whatever it is for you, or if you find yourself in that state, even a triggering conversation, it's not like you're going to walk away, excuse me, while I balance and lift my leg, but you see how easy it is to just, I don't know, you can be on a Zoom and stand on one foot and just breathe and drop yourself down a notch and know that you're going to do that. So that is one of the simplest, and it's literally any movement you can do. So I have people do that in the airport, just with their holding onto their suitcase, and just move your foot forward and back or something. It doesn't look like much of anything.
I love that. And I wanted to just digest and dissect that a little bit. What I love when you mentioned all of that is initially when you feel the stress is to actually just sort of feel it and be there with it first, not to resist it, not to throw it away, not to soothe yourself doing that, is notice that and be with that and know that it's there. And then when you did that, some people go and they'll do the box breathing or the alternate nasal breathing. This was, I got to say, pretty genius to do the movement with the foot that incorporates balance. Because one, I don't have great balance anyway, and you were right. The fact that I had to focus on the balance and the breath together allowed the synergistic effects for me to actually calm down a lot. And so the movement was great. And certainly people do know that when you spend that time with that extended breath out, you do activate that vagus nerve as well. So wow, what an amazing technique.
Yeah. Let's do another one. You guys will love this because everybody's a gamer here. Everybody's jumping up. Okay, here's really cool. So when you do your workouts, okay, so everybody kind of does planks or, you know, things like that. So isometric contractions, which is holding a plank or just holding a position, builds pure strength. It will not create hypertrophy. That's muscle shape that you're looking for, but it will make you strong. That's why if you hurt your knee, they just have you like hold it, you know, out like, you know, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. It's the safest way to build pure strength. Well, you can use this not just to give yourself a burst of energy when you're tired during the day or if you're feeling stressed, but also to train your brain to handle stress better. So what we're going to do is take a modified chair pose from yoga. So just standing with your feet hip width apart. I think you can see me just fine here. Let's not lose a light. You're just going to drop down as if you're going to sit in a chair. Make sure you're comfortable here. Deepen your abdominals. Roll your shoulder blades back and down and feel your shoulder blades sliding down your back. Now from here, I'm holding that position. Take one arm up, take the other arm up, and now make sure your neck stays open. So I think everybody can agree this is not comfortable. We don't want to hang out here for a long time. But because I'm your trainer right now, we are going to. And at this moment, your heart rate's starting to come up. You're feeling your abdominals. You're probably feeling your lower back. Easy. Drop in a little bit more. Let's breathe. Now, all I want you to do is not let your face move. Don't squinch, don't anything. Just let air flow. I don't care what pace you breathe at. Just make sure you're breathing. I know you wish I would stop talking, but I'm not going to because this is what life does to you. Just when you think you can't take any more, life just keeps talking to you and keeps piling more on your plate. As a matter of fact, why don't you drop down just 2 more inches? That chair's a little lower. Let's just hold this right here. And we're going to keep breathing. And here's the thing. I'm going to tell you where the goal line is. We're going to go 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8. I'm going to be nice. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2, 2. Oh, see, because this is what life does. All right. Have a sense of humor about it. 1. Okay, you're done. Come on up. Breathe. Okay. Here's all the things that just happened right now.
Well, so that was amazing. We do have an audio version of this podcast. So can you give a 20-second summary as to what we just did?
So all we did is you're going to stand up and then you're going to sit back like you're going to sit down into your chair, but you're going to stay 5 inches above your chair. And then you're just going to take your arms up overhead. Just reach them straight overhead with the palms facing each other. And that was the position. And it's a modified chair pose from yoga. And basically what just happened here, if everybody notices, boy, did that require a lot from your heart and lungs to a lot of oxygen to get those muscles to fire, to just hold that position the whole time. That was all the muscles in your body. Every muscle in your body was involved in that, right? So you'll notice that you have you're vibrating. You have a tremendous amount of energy right now, right? So if you're in the middle of the day and like it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you're kind of like, tired and you got 3 more calls to do, you're in the middle of a session, you know, you're like, you've got to keep powering through. You can literally generate physical energy, but if you check out your brain right now too, you see that you have a focus. You have a lot of mental energy right now too. And it happened at the same time. Now, here's what's super cool, and here's why this is a stress management technique. Your brain cannot differentiate between physical stress, emotional stress, circumstantial stress. It's just strain, and it thinks it needs to protect you. because we did not allow your face to do anything, because I was making jokes and asked you to have a sense of humor and you went along with it, because you just breathed in that moment, you essentially told your amygdala, dude, I got it. Like, you don't have to protect me. I'm doing this intentionally. I'm building some strength right now. I don't know. I'm just listening to this woman. She says to try it, so I am. Like, and you gave your body a chance to be uncomfortable and have you not respond. So you just practiced resilience. You just developed greater resilience for the kind of stress and intensity and pressure you already have in your life. And that is, as a practice throughout the day, if this is something you just kind of do every afternoon at 2:30, you set your, phone. Okay, I'm going to do 1 minute of this pose, or I'm going to do 1 minute of a plank, or 2 minutes. You can incrementally move it up. You will not only be strengthening yourself, but you will be reframing your brain, giving yourself focus, and you will be training yourself not to over respond to stress, not to go 0 to 60. And you'll notice this translates to your life. Like when people cut you off in traffic, it rolls off your back. You don't get super aggressive, and men are, all my, men are that are pretty successful can tend to be high powered about that, or about, in a way.
Yeah, this is amazing. So a few things here. I'm going to have you to thank when I look like a flamingo every time I go on stage. So that's number one.
I love it.
And the next thing is, I really love these exercises. First off, they were about a minute long. And I feel like if I'm in a suit, if I'm in workout clothes, wherever I am, so far, there's no limitation for me to be able to do these things. And I got to say that last exercise with the, the modified chair sit
pose.
really, really energized me. You got another one for us?
Oh, I have tons. This is what I do.
Well, this is amazing. I know she's just giving us a few, and she'll talk about what she does with people in 90 days. But I mean, these things are really, really golden. Thank you so much.
This episode of the Thrive State podcast is brought to you by the Thrive State Accelerator. The Thrive State Accelerator is actually a home course that I developed using the exact same techniques I work with my celebrity clients, CEOs, and executives on how to get them to the Thrive State. The Thrive State Accelerator teaches you how to master your 7 bioenergetic elements. That's sleep, nutrition, movement, stress and emotional mastery, relationships, our thoughts and mindset, as well as purpose. In this Thrive State Accelerator, you're also going to get a bonus module on optimization. That's how I talk about supplementation, peptides, all the optimization techniques I use with my clients to get them to the Thrive State. Now, for some of you who are just joining us for the first time, you guys might be wondering, what is the Thrive State? Well, the Thrive State is actually the energy, the epigenetic environment we give to ourselves, telling our DNA how to act and how to respond. And if we want optimal health, longevity, and peak performance, if we can master these 7 bioenergetic elements, our ability to have those 3 things that we just said, optimal health, longevity, and peak performance, is at its greatest. And it also prevents you from getting chronic symptoms like brain fog, being overweight, feeling sluggish, acne, pain, all these chronic symptoms, as well as preventing you from getting chronic disease. So getting to that Thrive State is really getting to that state to master being that very best version of yourself so you could show up for you, for your family, for your business, everything that's important to you. So go ahead, check it out right now at kienvu.com/accelerator and use coupon code podcast25 for 25% off. Now back to the podcast.
So here's a really good one. This is another stress relief in the middle of the day one, like when you need to. So we all have certain to-dos in our life that we don't even think about that we do. And you can turn them into a ritual. So a ritual is a sacred time. And a ritual is, generally if you think about it, it's a practice where you're really paying attention to what you do at that moment. That's all it is. So I have 2 rituals in the day. This is how I got through the pandemic. And by the way, I developed a lot of these things because I can't meditate. I will advance as a human at some point. I'm working on it, but I got a lot going on. So I had in the pandemic, when I actually had anxiety, I'm not a very anxious person, but I really started experiencing it. This is when I really started studying this and creating these brain training things the same way I do for the body, right? So I developed this thing where every morning I have these plants I have to water here in Southern California. If you don't water them every day, they will die. And I turn that into a ritual. So I have this certain pitcher I use for that. I water each plant. It takes 2 pitchers full, and I do not let my mind veer from, I pay attention to every single plant, and I just see how it's grown or changed since yesterday. If it needs a little thing plucked off, it's whatever, but it doesn't seem like a big thing. It's the attention I bring to it. And it trains me to be able to focus, to be less tangential, to be less pop, full of ideas, like focus on one thing. And that really, really helps, because when I'm in conversations, particularly with my children, I can focus and I'm not off on my own stuff. Like the places where it really counts, your children, your partner, we're all pretty good at focusing on our work, but can we give that same focus to the people that matter without our own stuff, like kind of pulling us off to wherever? So I'm training myself to focus, and I'm also starting the day in a very calm place. So that ritual. And then the other one is I make these Keurig coffees, and I love sounds. And so I pay attention to the sounds. It's like 90 seconds. For me, Keurigs take forever, but I use the sounds, and every little sound I pay attention to, and now I like enjoy them. And that 90 seconds where all I allow myself to do is breathe and pay attention to those sounds reframes my brain instantly. And what's happening, because I repeat these 2 things almost every day, I have a couple others, but it's a signal to my brain that I'm in safe harbor. That's what a ritual does. Rituals are things we repeat over and over mindfully. And then it tells your brain, I don't need any protection right now. Your central nervous system starts to get it and automatically drops. So by the time I finish watering my plants, it doesn't matter how difficult my morning was with my children or whatever, I'm ready to go. I'm my best self. By the time I finish, making a Keurig in the afternoon, like I'm ready to power through with that same energy I had in the morning, or ready to go, whatever it is. And so I encourage people to take rituals they have, like just to-dos, things they always every day, to develop a ritual out of it that will signal to your brain, hey, stop protecting me, because our amygdala is lit up all day long by news, by, other people's stuff, by literal pressure from, just your email, from your text messages. And it doesn't have to be that it's bad things. It's just a lot of things. Our prefrontal cortex was not designed for the amount of information we take in a day. And so it's just great to have a couple of built-in resets where I'm focusing on just one thing.
That is such an important point. I mean, I talk about in my speeches how really we have the power of choice to shift our biology, but
right.
People lose the power to make choices when they lose their focus and attention. A couple podcasts ago, I talked about something in our brain that actually includes the amygdala, and it's something that develops before the age of 10 called the default mode network, which is basically a survival mode of the brain that operates when we're not paying attention. So, the minute you stop doing a task, this default mode network turns on.
That's right. That's right. And we're victim to it all the time, because everything that comes at us in media right now and in everything else actually is going straight for that. I mean, it's designed to do that, right? Absolutely. And makes our lives really reactionary versus we're in the driver's seat. And, like your thrive state, right? The definition in one of my events I do for corporations, I define the word thrive. It's a big word for me too. And it means to grow or develop well or vigorously, to grow or develop well or vigorously, comma, to prosper, comma, to flourish, right? You have picked the absolute perfect word, because isn't that what we're all trying to do? We're all trying to grow and develop vigorously, not slow, like now, like yes, with energy. And we want to prosper and we want to flourish. We want to spread that. So I think I love that. And that you've got to be able to get out of that default network. You've got to be able to train your brain to activate what I call those positive brain centers every day, all day, in little bits throughout the day. And then your default mental state becomes one of plenty and safety versus one of scarcity and threat. It's cool.
That's amazing. I know you got so much more.
Yeah.
But let's take some questions that we have. We're actually doing a special edition of the Thrive State podcast in my very exclusive Thrive State Concierge Men's group. And so we have a few people. We'll actually bring up the guests. Let's start with Brad Rochefort. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah. Hi, Andrea. Thanks for being here.
Hi. Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on workout apps that encourage like 9 or 12 or 15 minutes of daily exercise versus your top recommendation?
I have one of them. It's called And Life, and it's awesome. And I am a huge believer in this. I have been doing this with my clients for, 16 years. 14 years. The first 16 years, you and everybody thinks you need to do to be super fit. And I ended up 25 pounds heavier than I am now, and hungry and grumpy and exhausted and professionally and personally demoralized, because I have all these people paying me a lot of money to tell them what to do. And the honest truth is, if I could even get close to what I thought my goal weight was, like, I am white knuckling it. And so are all of my clients. Like, it's a no thank you lifestyle. I'm having no fun. It's lame. And I'm working out like it's my job, even though it is my job. That's no fun. So then I switched to a super less is more approach. I mean, I literally just guinea pigged myself. I remember staring at the wall. I was making a program for a new client, a celebrity. So I really, I care about everybody, but I really cared. I was like, oh my God, as a guy. And I was like, oh my God. I remember just thinking, this does not work. This does not work for anybody. The calorie counting, this does not work. And so, I kind of did my thing with him, but I guinea pigged myself for like a year and I shrunk. And I'll tell you, I started doing small workouts throughout the day, like small bits. I changed the bar to 20 minutes a day because it's super easy to be consistent. And that's for my clients. For me, it was not hard, obviously, to work out, but I'm somebody that went from 45 minutes, an hour of cardio a day. Plus I was training clients. Plus I would do weight training and Pilates on my own, right? Like, I teach everything there is to teach. And can you imagine, I'm going down to I'm only doing 20-minute resistance workouts a day and walking, and it's amazing. Not only did I transform physically, but I have energy. I'm happy, and I'm eating all the foods. I mean, there's a strategy to it, but to answer your question, they just have to be strategized workouts, right? So they mean something, and you've got to lift heavy enough so it matters, but you have to warm up quick before you do it. So it just has to be strategized, but it is super, super effective. And I think the best part about it is it makes it so that you can be consistent. It has to be an everyday thing. The purpose of exercise is to have strong, flexible muscles so that your bones stay aligned, so that you can do whatever it is that you want to do in your life with freedom and strength and without pain. And then it's cardiovascular fitness, so that your heart and lungs are able to operate at a high capacity to get you where you want to go without you I gotta rest, right? That's the point of exercise. When we push past that point, when we start getting into other realms of what exercise is for, that's where you're going to burn out or risk injury. or have a hard
So
time
good.
staying consistent.
All right, we have another question coming from Peter Gonzalez. Peter, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, Andrea. What was
Hi.
the name of the app?
And life. And like
And-
Andrea, life like your life.
Great. My question has to do with what beautiful tips would you have about sleeping? We hear a lot about sleeping and quality. I'm sure you probably have some brilliant stuff.
Gosh, because this is so crucial. One is, I don't know if some of you here are like me, where I get inspired by something, I'll stay up late working, and you've got to shut down. And then the only way I can shut that down is by having something else that's compelling to do. So, like reading a book or something. It is super important to stop, to not scroll before you go to sleep at night, or to that kind of a thing. That blue light seriously affects you, but I look at my phone every night before bed. That's what I do. Like, I'm not perfect at all. However, one of the better things to do is research something rather than just kind of mindlessly scrolling through things. Learn something, get something in your brain, like one TEDx, something with a definite end to it, a TED talk for 13, 18 minutes. That's great. An article on something that you set aside from earlier in the day. Learn something, activates the prefrontal cortex, activates curiosity. Maybe it fits in with your life mission and your purpose. And then that way and then there's like an end point to it, an end of the art. You can feel completion. We are hardwired for completion. And it's funny that if things are left incomplete, it's hard for our brain to shut down. So you kind of find something you can look at, or a task you can do, that you can complete just before bed. Or if it's me, maybe it's in bed. And then even if it's on your phone, which isn't ideal, but it's just that kind of a thing, something you can complete so that you feel like you're done. It's a signal to your brain that you're done. And then you'll have an easier time just saying, okay, I can rest now. And, and then there's the obvious that a lot of people, that I try to give you one that you haven't heard from somebody else. But of course, having a routine is really helpful. Because again, just like the ritual I talked about before, it's a signal to your brain. And your brain kind of knows, all right, we're winding down now. So that sort of a thing, whatever that is for you, try to repeat it in the same pattern. Try to, just get a pattern going of what you do at night. And if you just start to repeat that, that just helps signal, okay, I don't need any more help. I don't need any more adrenaline. Like, we can shift.
What a beautiful, beautiful technique. And you shared so much wisdom today. I know everybody who's on this very special call definitely benefit. And I know you've got tons more. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your Shape Up Body and Mind program?
Yeah, this is a cool thing. This is finally after 5 years, like I thought, okay, I'll make an app. That'll be how I can scale what I do. It's just not enough. Like, it's never enough, right? People can dabble in things and then it goes, and I have a book, and okay, and it has worksheets and handouts, and you could do that. Like, people need guidance. And especially the men that come to me, you guys hold the bag on a lot. Like, I kind of get it, because I'm kind of more like a guy in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? I don't want to have a deep talk if we don't have to. I would really like to just have a good time. Like, if I do something wrong, just tell me in 2 sentences. I got it. I heard you the first time. Like, it's very funny. And you guys, you just still end up responsible for a lot. You put a lot of pressure on yourselves. We're in this culturally shifting tectonic plate time. Men went through a vilified stage. They're hashtagged. You can't say this. You can't say. It's like tough, right? So I'm sorry. What was the question?
I wanted to find out more about your new program.
Program. I just went on my advocacy for men thing. So with the program, it's that they need help, and especially for the men. Men do really well because they'll just do what you ask them to do. They just want the steps, and so it really is a way to give people just simple strategies to inject into the life you personally live. It's deeply customized. And that's the big thing, that if you dabble in this fitness approach or that fitness approach or whatever, they're all good, but they're good like in a lab setting. Like your life is not a lab setting. So if an approach is not deeply customized to how your life actually is, to your preferences, to, the shifting tectonic plates of your world, it won't last. And then what's the point? So that's what the Shape Up Body Mind program does. It's literally, it could be done as fast as 6 phases. You could do it in 6 weeks, but it's 90 days because sometimes people are in a phase for a while just because vacation or work or whatever, or they get through the phases and then it's just check-ins, because these strategies that we implement for people in terms of their food, in terms of their exercise, what we come up with in terms of their brain training, they don't have the accountability, which is the reward, then they don't create a solid habit. Habits are created by only, this is brain, this is neurology, easily repeatable patterns, easy being the operative word, easily repeatable patterns followed by reward. So why the Shape Up Body Mind program is so successful is because it takes stress into account, stress and pressure and life intensity into account first, and then it creates personalized strategies relative to all of those things, but then there's the accountability factor, and that becomes the reward. So you have 4 happy hormones in your brain that are available to you all the time: endorphins from exercise, dopamine from achievement, serotonin from connection, and oxytocin from hugs, and basically, we help to make sure you have all that going on all the time. So you're in a hormonally advantaged place. You can achieve your goals, and then you're set up to just keep them going.
That is super amazing. I think anybody who's listened to this episode and participate in the exercises just know, number one, how calming the exercises are in such a short period of time, and how energizing it could be too. I could only imagine what the 90 days is. So how do people find out more about your work, and how do people find out more about how to sign up for the 90-day program?
Yeah, so andlife.com is my website, and there you could find out about that or any of the tools that are used in the program, the And Life app, the book, the Connect platform I have. I call my Workday Wellbeing Solution. It's made for corporations, but I'd let people have it. At andlife.com, you can go look at it and see what it's about, and you set up a call with me, really is what it is, because it is customized, it's one-on-one. I have to know where you're headed. I have to know what your goals are to make sure that I'm 100% confident that I'm the right person to get you there. Because I go in on people 110%, like, you're not getting out of my grasp until I know you're good, and so it's, but that has to be, we have to make sure that your goals are in alignment with what the program is designed to do. If you're somebody that's like, I want to be ripped and no, I'm not your person, because that's not what we're doing. I want to be strong, lean, healthy. I want to be, combating disease. I want longevity, and I want to mentally be at my absolute best and on an upward trajectory in all ways. Well, that's what we do.
That is amazing. Like all the tools you're giving us, my mind is blown. So I'm very curious to know the answer to this question, which is, what has been your best medicine?
Breathing. Breath work. I'll tell you a little story, and absolutely everything. It's Pilates principle. I relate it to stress, but I'll tell you where it comes from for me. It's big discovery, and it's actually a little sad moment. So I had a pretty rough childhood. My mom was an entrepreneur. My dad's PhD scientist. My mom was an entrepreneur, but she was a high functioning alcoholic, and she was really bad. Like, it was really bad. And then addicted on that front line of opioid addiction, prescribed to her for pain killing. Anyway, so, really, really challenging personality to deal with. And it was in that kind of a family, one person is the target always. That was me. So I grew up with just, wow, you never knew what you're coming home to, because my mom could also be the most supportive, generous person in the whole world. So it wasn't so obvious. Like, she was also my biggest cheerleader, but I was hammered constantly. It was very challenging. And, consequently, I'm somebody that went through, I was sad. I was really sad, and I'm a smiley, happy person, but deep down, and I didn't share it a whole lot. I was really, really sad. In my early 30s, I found someone, I was crying all the time. I was like, why am I crying all the time? Everything's good. I'm engaged to this guy. I've got everything's well. I found out from this therapist. He's like, yeah, people like you who hold on, you leak. After a certain point, you just leak. If everything starts going well and there's no drama, now you leak. I said, well, I don't have time. So how many times a week do I have to come for this to be done? And he said, so I saw this guy for twice a week for 2 months, and all we did was breathe. And, I don't really want to talk about it. I told you that, I'll tell anybody anything. It's not a secret, but it's just talk. I feel just perpetuates sometimes. It just gives more air to issues you can't do anything about. Breathing. I don't know how. There was no big, revelation. There was a big moment. But all I can tell you is I saw him twice a week for 2 months. And somehow I was just a different person. I just forgave my mother. I just forgave her. I stopped trying to fix her. I was able to just love her exactly for who she was. We had the best relationship for the last 3 years of her life. It is the single thing I'm most proud of. And that was just from breathing. It wasn't from talking so much. It was just allowing myself to just breathe through this whole thing. And like you said in the beginning of one of those stress things, sit in the moment of it, not try to pretend it away or rationalize it or say, well, I'm stronger because of these hard experiences. I mean, it was just sitting, just sitting with it and breathing into it for a little bit, and it was gone. And so I really, really believe in the power of breath applied to everything, to help you clear, to help you level up, and to help you just be at your absolute best.
Breath work. It's an amazing modality. I use it myself, and there is some science demonstrating that it actually quiets down that default mode network, so we could touch 100%. Into the most authentic version of ourselves, and the love that we actually are. So, Andrea, thank you so much for being with us. And I'm taking you out on a steak dinner.
I can't wait. I want a steak dinner. It's amazing.
I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Thrive State podcast. And if this podcast is bringing a lot of value to you, if you find that your life is just improving with this podcast, that your life is getting to the next level, please consider supporting it. And here's a few ways you can do so. You can do so by liking this video and commenting on this video, and also sharing this video with your friends and family. Another thing you can do is go to ratethispodcast.com/ThriveState. Go ahead and leave us a 5-star review there. It will really, really help this show grow. And this will give me more time so that I could actually give more content to you, just like you got in this episode. And if you haven't already picked up a copy of my book, Thrive State, Your Blueprint for Optimal Health, Longevity, and Peak Performance, you can pick it up now. It became a #1 new release in longevity. Go to thrivestatebook.com. And if you enjoy the book, please consider leaving us a review as well. And the last thing you can do, if you're liking everything here and you want to work more closely with me as well as my team to get you into the Thrive State, go to kienvu.com/accelerator and consider joining the home course, the Thrive State Accelerator. It's really the course that I use. It's the concepts that I use personally when I work with CEOs, celebrities, and my high-profile clients to get them to the Thrive State. Again, the Thrive State Accelerator at kienvu.com/accelerator. And because you're a listener of this podcast, I want you to save 25% by using the coupon code podcast25. I hope we continue to give value to you. And remember always, you are your best medicine.